Hey there, friend. I'm glad you're here, just sitting with me for a while. Let's take a quiet moment together, you and I, and talk about something that's been on my mind lately. Something that feels like a soft, steady anchor in the chaos of life. I want to share a story, not just about a concept, but about a journey. It's about meditation, about finding stillness, and about how it can ripple through everything we are. So, grab a cozy spot, maybe a warm drink, and let's wander through this together. I remember the first time I really tried to sit still, not just physically, but inside. I was in my late 20s. Life was a whirlwind of deadlines and doubts, and my mind, it was a runaway train. I'd sit down at the end of the day, exhausted, but my thoughts wouldn't stop. They'd loop over yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's worries, never settling in the right now. A friend of mine, someone who always seemed to carry this quiet glow, suggested I try meditation. I laughed at first, me sitting cross-legged pretending to be some kind of sage, but I was desperate for peace, so I gave it a shot. That first attempt was, let's just say it wasn't magical. I sat on my bedroom floor, closed my eyes, and waited for something profound to happen. Instead, my mind was louder than ever. Did I lock the door? What's for dinner? Why am I even doing this? But I kept at it, day after day, just 5 minutes at a time. Slowly, something shifted. It wasn't that the thoughts disappeared, they didn't, but I started to notice them without getting dragged along. It was like sitting by a river, watching the water rush by without jumping in. I began to feel this tiny space, this breath of calm where I wasn't fighting my mind. I was just there. I think that's what meditation really is. It's not about emptying your head or becoming someone else. It's about being awake to this very moment, feeling the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, without judgment or hurry. It's the 7th step in the ancient path of yoga, just before you reach that ultimate union they call samadhi. But for me, it's less about steps and more about coming home to yourself, even if just for a few minutes. Over time, I started to see little miracles, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet ones that change how you walk through the world. I remember one morning, after weeks of sitting in silence, I caught myself in the middle of a stressful day at work. Normally, I'd spiral, overthinking every email, every word. But that day, I paused. I took a deep breath, felt my feet on the ground, and let the noise in my head settle. I wasn't running the show anymore. I was steering it. That control, that choice, it felt like freedom. And here's something I didn't expect. I started needing less sleep. I used to be someone who craved 8-9 hours just to feel human. But as I meditated more, my body felt lighter, less worn down by the day. My mind wasn't burning energy on endless worry or anger, and my muscles weren't clenched tight from stress. I'd wake up after 6 hours, sometimes less, feeling ready. It's strange, isn't it? How much of our exhaustion comes not from our bodies, but from the battles in our heads. I've read about places like Okinawa, this little island in Japan where people live long, joyful lives, often past 100. When researchers dug into why, they found it wasn't just diet or exercise. It was a way of being, living simply, staying close to nature, focusing on the present, not fretting over what's gone or what's coming. They even wrote a book about it called Ikigai, which means finding your purpose, your reason to get up each day. I haven't read it yet, honestly. I'm terrible at finishing books, but I've heard it's worth the time. Maybe you and I can check it out sometime. There's this other thing, too, about how meditation softens the edges of life. I used to carry stress like a backpack, always weighing me down. Anxiety would creep in over the smallest things, bills, conversations, what-ifs. But sitting in stillness, even for a short while each day, started to loosen that grip. I'd notice a worrying thought, but instead of diving in, I'd let it pass. It didn't solve every problem, but it changed how I faced them. I could focus on solutions instead of drowning in the mess. And you know what else? I started to feel different. Not just inside, but in how I carried myself. There was this ease in my step, a calm in my voice. People noticed. Friends would say, "You seem different, more grounded." Strangers would linger a little longer in conversation, drawn to something I couldn't quite name. I think it's because meditation pulls you into the present so fully that you start to shine with it. You're not scattered or rushed. You're just here, and people feel that. Speaking of the present, that's the heart of it, isn't it? We spend so much time stuck in the past or racing toward the future that we miss what's right in front of us. I used to replay old arguments in my head or stress about things I couldn't control. But meditation taught me to let go of that tug of war. One day, I was sitting outside, just breathing, and I noticed the way the sunlight hit the leaves, the sound of a bird nearby. I wasn't anywhere else but there, and it felt like enough. If we could live like that more often, I think most of our troubles would shrink down to size. There's this kindness that grows from this, too. I've always struggled with grudges, holding on to little hurts like they defined me. But the more I meditated, the more I saw people's struggles, their humanness, instead of just their flaws. Forgiving got easier, not because they deserved it, but because I did. Letting go of anger felt like setting down a heavy stone I didn't even know I was carrying. It made room for compassion, for love, for seeing others as they are. I could go on about how my confidence grew, how I stopped comparing myself to everyone else, how my memory sharpened, how I could focus on... Tell me, friend, have you ever tried sitting still, just being with yourself, even for a few minutes a day? It's not about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself again and again. And in that quiet, you might find a strength you didn't know you had, a clarity that cuts through the noise, a peace that stays with you long after you open your eyes. So, let's try it together, even just for a moment. Close your eyes if you can, take a slow breath, and feel this second, right now. No past, no future, just you, here, with me. What do you notice? I'm curious. I'm listening. And I'm so glad we're on this path, side by side.